Hey folks, how's it going? It's been a while since I've done something voiced, and I wanted to take this opportunity to extend a bit of a warmer thank you to everyone who has joined in the last couple of months. I wasn't sure I would hit 2.5k subscribers by the time 2021 began, and instead you've propelled me way past that, which was pretty awesome to see. Of course, a big thank you goes to everyone who has been coming along on this ride for a while as well. Lastly, a special thanks goes to Van Crystals, who has surprised me with a membership around Christmas time. I've turned those on just because why not, but I never actually expected anyone clicking that join button. I've been doing YouTube stuff mostly for fun, and this sort of support makes the experience immensely better. I can't really find the words to properly express how much I enjoy being able to share and talk about something that I like with you all, so I guess I'll throw out one last thank you and move on to the actual progression and planning. First thing first, collection and sparking. I wanted to end 2020 with 5 Eternals uncapped to 5 stars, and I managed to hit that objective with 6 on the first day of the Light Guild War. I was able to do 4 in a year, so maybe completing the 5-star bingo in 2021 isn't too out of the question. For the 6 stars, we currently only know of the first step out of 5, and that's a bit steep too. I've started working on song, and I'm determined to see rank up done, even if it means slowing down on the other 5 stars. The gold bust might look like a problem at first, especially if I also want to finally get around uncapping my Dark Opus weapons, but if I've got to farm for 200 silver shards for specific type, that's about 2000 akashas, so some gold busts are bound to be dropped from there. The rusted weapons are the part that worries me the most. For the low orbs, I'm not that badly off, but sadly you can't even trade for these. I guess more are going to come from farming Angel Halo for more 5-star Eternals, and I'm going to have to avoid LA changing Revenant weapons into light ones, so I will only consume 250 low orbs for the gold relic. For the Hurls, I'm a bit less worried since you can just reduce light weapons for them, and Arcarum Sandbox drops them like candy. For the flawed prisms, I've taken the habit of trading them in the shop every day, and it looks like it's going to have to be a constant thing. I'm close to 12k, and it takes 4k for a 5-star Eternal and 7.5k for Song 6 stars, so I guess this is going to be the real bottleneck. 5-star wise, the choice is between Uno, Trio, Quatre, Siete and Neon, with Quatre and Siete being the main 2 targets in there. The next Guild War is going to be a water favored one in April, but due to the lack of Summer Cagliostro and Summer Kolulu, I'm a bit reluctant about investing more into water. My last subticks went to Izmir, and I'm considering uncapping the moon before Judgment just because of the Guild War scheduling. Vejra 5-star came with a bit of a weird kit and a lot of passive skill nukes, but she's mostly fine as long as she can get some extra charge bar. Quatre 5-star could be an interesting addition to the element, mostly for his debuff potential and the weakness debuff breaking the 50% defense down cap. Avirati could also bring Izmir's skin up to a 4 out of 5 turns uptime, while freeing the Seraphic weapon slot from the grid. So maybe, hopefully, I can do something with those two, plus either Lily or Vejra, depending on what the Guild War boss will throw at us. I'm in no real hurry to get Siete either, and I'm thinking about waiting until March is almost over before uncapping Quatre, just to monitor how many flawed prisms I can get and see if it's going to be enough for the other Eternals from there. On the Evoker side, I was already kind of working on Catselia, to the point where I'm only missing 9 Wheatborn Astras to be done with him, but I guess I'll have to reroute these resources and go for a Hacelia instead. I only need 8 Ideans, but I'm just 40% there when it comes to Astras. Everything else is easily acquirable, and if the Sephria stones permit it, I might be able to get both siblings before April. After them, I guess it will finally be time to take the last step for Alanan, which leaves only Lobelia and the Sleepy Hardin behind. I already have the 2 Evalettes for the siblings and a third one available in the shop, so once I get 2 more from the Valor Badges rewards, I'll be set for all 10 Evokos and I can finally go back to spending everything on Starlight Stones. I can't wait. As far as non-farmable characters go, after my Cow Spark I'm all set for the 12 Generals, and I was left with enough rolls to be pretty safe for another Anniversary Spark. Sadly, this means that I had to skip on the Valentine banner, or at least almost skip. I kind of did a couple of pulls and I managed to snag Valentine Grimnir out of the gacha, which is going to influence quite a bit my Analytics list. Still, that list scares the crap out of me, so I'll leave it for later. For the anniversary, last year the free draws period began on March 10 and ended on March 31st, with a Summer Characters Rate-Up banner starting on the 14th and a Summer Flash Gala on the 17th. The summer characters remained available throughout the entire roulette, but they were no longer sparkable after a second non-6% banner. The Premium Gala banner on the 29th didn't have any new characters, but instead had all the Zodiacs as sparkable targets. Looking at what's left in my wishlist, I would say it's pretty obvious what banner I'll be going for, with Leona joining the Anytics list as well. She should be old enough to be part of it. For the summer banner, I hope we get some interesting rate ups. Last year it came with Mugen and Summer Tina, as well as Halwell and Malwell were released alongside Summer Sandaphone on June 30th, 2019, Summer Jessica who was released on July 31st, 2019, and lastly Summer Yule coming back from her March release on the previous year. This time around, it should be pretty safe to assume that Tina will be the returning March character on Rate Up, and if we follow the same release pattern, the other slots would fall to Summer Kolulu, but she was an only Summer character released alongside Leona and Abby, while Summer Anila and Rosamia share Jessica's release date. A banner for a new Summer character, a new Flash Grand, Tina, Kodulu, Anila and Rosamia wouldn't be too bad considering I only have 2 of the characters in there. But to be honest, it's a bit too much of a long shot to try and predict which units are going to be added to it. The better way to prepare for it would probably be just to have a priority list for characters that will either end up being sparked for or unticketed. So I guess this is finally the Anytics section, and I don't know, but having to choose between the characters in this list just makes me feel uneasy. As much as I would like Leona in my crew, I guess I can hope for a lucky roll during the roulette or just my next Legfest spark. The same can be said for Alaya. All of the summer characters are going to be in the pool for a while, and some of them might even be sparkable. If they all still manage to elude me, please God no. The next summer banners aren't going to be that far away, so I guess I can drop their priority a little bit. This leaves Halloween and Christmas, both requiring a much longer wait. I'm still under the idea that the Halloween banner is a really hard one to spark on. Between October and March, there's 5 big spark-worthy banners, and the Halloween one can end up depleting important rolls for the Christmas, New Year's, Valentine and Anniversary banners. The only Halloween character I've got my eyes on is Alessena, both for being cute and crazy and for her 80% echo and 100k team-wide supplemental damage. As for the Christmas ones, Mary is in this list mostly because I wanted to try her out after her rebalance. The real priority would go to Mirin and Nemone. Mirin looks cute as hell, even if her kit isn't really that powerful. The 200% charge bar looks like it could be fun for bonito memes with Vegra, but that's about it. Nemone comes with a pretty nice buff on charge attack and an interesting mechanic forcing MC to permanently substitute for her. On the downside, she needs to spend turns gaining stacks and using her charge attack to actually buff. The skill damage nukes also make her a bit of a monk light, and I actually like the Choco Cat a lot, so I might go and pick her. In terms of general use though, Mimlemel, Cagliostro and Halwell and Malwell would be the best picks in here, so I've got to wait and see what will happen during my next spark before actually deciding. In terms of general progression, I should be able to get Hacelia and the Water Opus to ULB in February, hopefully Uncapped Quotre in March while also completing both Catcelia and getting the Wind Opus to ULB. In April, hopefully I'll have enough mats to get Song to 110 and get my ULB Light Opus done as well. After that, it's honestly a bit hard to say. Siete 5-star and Alanan will probably be the next targets, but it will depend on how many mats I'll have left. What's more worrying is going to be the second step for Song 6-star, but I guess I'll have to cross that bridge once we get there. As far as grids go, other than ULBing Opus and Astral weapons, I would just need a couple of the new Magnet weapons here and there, and to finish my Dragon Raid ones. The rest is just a hunt for good AX mods. With my last sparks, I've been set up nicely for a Zeus grid, but I don't have Metatron nor the 15 bars to put into it, so that's not going to be a thing for a while. Even if I did have the resources, I think I would rather invest them into a Stamina Hades setup. My other primal grid is the Veruna one, but I don't wanna talk about it. So one last thing before signing out. Half the reason why I started recording stuff was to practice both my English and speaking in general. I've always been an introvert, I've always been kind of quiet, and it's a personality trait that's been biting me in the ass for as long as I can remember. I thought I could work on it a bit by forcing myself to speak more, but it's not going all that great. I think maybe streaming might have a bit of a better impact, and I actually have the setups ready for both Granblue and Genshin. Content-wise, other than chatting over a game that goes mostly on full auto, farming together with people, attempting solo raids or just clearing the new content could be enough to fill a couple of hours every now and then. It's something I would like to give a try to, and if I can manage to stop shaking, I think it might be quite fun as well. Alright then, I guess that's going to be it for me for the moment. I'm looking forward to the anniversary announcement to see how much they're going to mess my plans up. If you'd be up for a stream or two, please let me know, and as usual, thanks again for watching, and see you soon. Ciao!